Try Before We Die, the whiskey review show where we don't know what we're drinking, but we'll tell you what we're thinking. And I'm here with my pal. I'm here with Matt and Dennis. All right. Mal couldn't make it today, but he's okay. So one of the ways I'll phrase how I know these guys is, this is the brother and father of my college roommate. And so there are elements of truth to that sentence. There are also... We were roommates, and we all know each other. And as we know, we're going to open and get to a bottle. But guys, first time on the show.
First time. Thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. Right. Super excited that you're able to be here. And have you seen any episodes?
We have.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So you know the drill here. You've walked around the bar before we let the cameras roll today. We've got about 600 bottles of unopened single malt Scotch whiskey, some of which are available in a store today, some of which are not. But they're here. And if our pal Green Randy gives us a number, or when our pal Green Randy gives us the number, we're just going to open that bottle. So why don't we find out what we're drinking, and then we'll chat a little bit. You're a guest. Why don't you hold it down for at least 5 seconds to let the random number generator warm up, and then we'll find out what number we're after.
All right. You all ready?
We're ready. 393. So that's going to bring us... I think I'm just going to grab this bottle. 393. 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93. Which makes sense because 395 is right here.
The man knows his inventory, yes.
Gentlemen, we are drinking an Aberlour ABunadh. So we are going to drink batch 75 of an ongoing release of Aberlour. So here's where it's going to get a little weird. Does anybody have a pocket knife?
I don't.
All right. I'm hopeful that there's going to be one coming across the bar. And the reason we need one is because this is wax sealed. Dennis, to your right. All right. So we've got an ow. Just kidding, everybody. So we're going to get this. We're going to get this. Get this started. So, do you guys know anything about Scotch whiskey?
I like to drink it.
I like to drink it, right. So Scotch whiskey, right, has lots of variety, right? And so this particular ongoing release series is by Aberlour, all about sherry. So if you're familiar with the fortified wine sherry, this whiskey has been aged in sherry casks. And that's why it's got this wonderful red hue to it. All right. You can see that, right? You've seen some Scotch whiskeys that are incredibly clear and pale before. The Aberlour ABunadh is an ongoing series of cask strength whiskeys aged in sherry. This one is coming in at 60.9% ABV. So that's what? What's 60.9 times 2, Matt?
120 something.
I'm going to go with
140 actually.
121.8. And I love the Aberlour wide corks. So we'll get this breathing a little bit, but yet trapping the fumes. And the reason that we cap these whiskeys is for that exact reason. To let it breathe, yet it's got some play. Yeah. So it breathes, but also will trap the fumes as we chat for a second. So we've had a number of Aberlour ABunadhs before on the show. This will be the highest batch number. I believe we did a batch 74. Our lowest batch number we've done is a batch 54, though we go all the way to batch 6 here on the show. That being said, while this is getting ready for us, I know you guys through Nate, your older brother, your oldest son, right? And we spent a lot of time. We lived together in Ackworth, New Hampshire. Nate and I lived together in Keene, New Hampshire. You, me, and Nate traveled around in a Volkswagen van, seeing a particular band at times.
Yep,
right?
I had hair. Yes, I remember. Yes,
yeah.
I remember.
So we know each other really from the 1990s. Is that about right, Dennis? Right. And I remember your house, Dennis, as a house I would wake up in sometimes, right? And because we would be out and carousing and having a good time, and where are we sleeping tonight? And we'll go to my parents' house, right? And then there'll be breakfast in the morning, right? And I recall, Dennis, breakfast in the morning almost always being like enough food. How did you know how much food to get ready? Because we were still all upstairs asleep, not unconscious, asleep. How did you know?
We checked the refrigerator, then we count the shoes, and we figured out if we had to run to the store, if we could just start cooking.
Right, because when we go to your house, take your shoes off as you come in the door, right? And my parents will see how many sets of shoes are here, and then they'll know how many folks are in the house, right? And then there'd be like this wonderful buffet or brunch, always prepared, right?
Yep.
Awesome memories, right? Yep. And did your room or one of the rooms have like a loft or something?
Yeah, both did. Yeah. So a little loft inside the room, which was perfect. So you could stuff even more people up there.
Yes.
And they couldn't really get up there because a little ladder to get up, and so it worked. It worked for many years.
It was really great. Right, it's just really fond memories of all that.
Yep.
Really enjoyed that. And I understand you guys, big fishermen. Right, I see lots of
from the Midwest. It started at an early age, so yes,
yeah.
And we just love it, and the relaxed to get on the river, get onto any kind of water. It's just a blast.
Right, and so what did we go after? Walleye, muskie, bass, this kind of
pike,
stuff.
Bass, yep, and some trout fishing occasionally. We do get a chance to do a little bit of that, but
it's awesome to see the social media posts you guys put up there, and it's great. I have two sons. And it's great to see their relationship as we age up, right? Because what are you now, like 60? Right. But there are so many folks out there whose relationship with their parents fail, right, through time, right? And it's just wonderful to see the relationship here is just maintained and ongoing. And I just enjoy watching that, and just the fact that you both came on the show.
Thank you very much.
Right. And that's really some of the background, Dennis, to Try Before We Die, right? This idea of sharing things with people who are important to us, right? So I appreciate this relationship and that you both were able to join me today on the show.
Appreciate it too. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So Dennis, I know you're the elder statesman right now on set. Do you have any like Scotch whiskey that like in your past? Oh, I remember drinking this, or I've had a Glenlivet in the past, and is it ever been a drink of choice for you?
In the early years, anything was a drink of choice. Then I got a little more refined, and had tried some Scotch. Drank Scotch for quite a while, actually, and then my taste changed and environment changed.
Yep.
So I've gone into, I enjoy a good wine.
Yep.
Particularly reds, but.
Yeah. Well, so this actually may then provide you something enjoyable, this sherry whiskey, right? I appreciate what you just said about, there was a time when it was anything. I remember talking to your wife, Kathy, and one time and she was talking about the early days of budgets in your life, and that there was always the budget for the beer, right? It is always in the weekly grocery budget, right? Yeah. So it's just important to carry on these traditions and keep these memories alive. And so hope you don't mind that I brought that up.
The family alcohol, the brandy made, the stuff that would be made in my grandmother's farm and left in the wood base, in the dirt basement, and age, and that we had that stuff for years and years. I still have
favorite is a brandy slush.
Yeah. Brandy slush out of the Midwest. Yeah.
It's so important to keep telling the stories, right? Yeah, I think there's an old Chinese proverb that no life has ended until all the lives that have been affected, right? Right. So we just always tell stories, raise glasses, and just carry on with the tales, right? It's important. Yeah. All right. So we've got this Aberlour Abunadh now, which is really about the original, right? So the idea behind here is they were trying to replicate some of their original whiskey following an old recipe here. So this is natural cask strength as it's come out, essentially only been filtered for sediment, right? So it's non-chill filtered, no color has been added. Some whiskeys, they add a coloration called E150A, which is a caramel coloration that they declare doesn't impact flavor. And they do that about consistency if they're releasing lots of the same for years and years and years. These are only 2 to 4 of these batches are released a year. And they started this process in 1999 was the first year they numbered the batch. That's batch 6. The first 5 batches were not numbered. And then they were like, oh my gosh, we're doing this. We should understand.
Yes.
And we're now into the 80s. So this batch was probably released in 22 or 23. Okay. All right. So there we go, gentlemen. So if we were to just sort of take a look at what color do you think this is? And we're always hopeful and curious for can you come up with a way to describe a color in a unique way? Right? So
Got some copper to it.
Oh, copper, I like that. Yeah. That's a good one, right? It's sometimes I'll talk a little bit about we could have some rust in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like the caramel on an apple.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Getting desserty.
Yeah.
Or fruity. What do you want to call them?
Right.
Okay.
But like a caramel, right? We've got some amber in here, right? If we were to go into the maple syrup world.
Okay.
Right. It's just I'm just super excited, and I'm really thrilled that we're able to pull this bottle for you guys. I really like the Aberlour releases, and they always bring a little something different. We should be expecting something relatively thick, fairly potent, but that will have some nice, deep sweetness to it. All right, so I like copper. I like caramel. I like the caramel apple. I like that, right? It's a nice whiskey, and again, all this color came from its time in the cask. Yeah, so this is just because, again, as you know, whiskey initially is essentially moonshine, right? When it comes off the still, which is like white lightning, right? Just a clear white liquid. Yep. And all this color comes from its time in the barrel, right? And of course, these barrels previously held sherry. Yeah. All right. Well, shall we have a nosing? Let's see what we can pick up on. This may hit you hard. Oh, so pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's sweet.
It is. Yep.
Right?
A little burn on the back.
Yeah. No, that's that high ABV, right? High ABV. I don't know if you can see, Matt. Do you see the legs developing all around my glass?
Yeah.
Right. So the higher the ABV, the legs develop a little slower and hang longer. So I don't know, Dennis, if you can see on my glass, see how those legs are rifling all around? Yeah. Right. And as a wine man, you'd know about the legs, right? Yeah. And you can see that, as far as I rotated up the glass, and then it just peaks in, right? Yeah. And it just hangs there, right? So that's all about the ABV. Right? And make sure this is on the inside. See it slowly coming down.
Yeah, coming back.
Yeah.
Wow. Making your own little mountains in there.
Yeah. Dennis, familiar with sherry at all?
Not really.
Okay.
I knew her one day, but...
I think the Kinks wrote a song about her. Was it the Kinks? It was a fortified wine, right? So a slightly higher ABV wine, right? So that's the fortified, right? But this is going to potentially bring us some notes of chocolate, raisins, plums. I mean, so we're going to sort of have to work around the high alcohol when we get to flavor. But when we start talking about the notes, right, the ones that we'll be potentially finding, raisins, plums, chocolates, cherries, like the red fruits. We're not going to be in green apples or pears or things like that. This is going to be into the darker side of the sweet spectrum. All right, we ready? Gentlemen?
Cheers.
Cheers. The Aberlour ABunadh, batch 75, 60.9% ABV. So we've got that spicy from the high ABV, right? But I've got a plum, and absolutely rotating in my mouth. There's some chocolate notes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Once the burn's gone, then yep.
What's left, right?
Yep.
And on your next one, take some time in the mouth and almost chew the whiskey, right? That will break it down and allow notes to sort of develop in your mouth.
No hint of blackberry?
Okay. All right. And that's going to be absolutely in the right direction, Dennis, right? So let's see, blackberry. I like that. That's a good call.
That was a good call.
That's a good call, right? You know, you think of like that, right off the vine, right off the stone wall in New England, right?
Yep.
Right. It's again, and think about like how high the ABV is in here, and yet we're starting to pull out specific fruity notes, dark fruity notes, right? And which really is a hallmark to the craftsmanship that goes behind like creating these products, right? It's not just moonshine, right? It then
Artwork,
spends, right?
It's just
Right. So to be a single malt Scotch whiskey, right, it has to spend 3 years old minimum, right? The entire process has to take place in Scotland through one distillery, right? And so this particular batch may be, and I'm going to make up a number, maybe 5,000 barrels were put together anywhere from 3 years old to 23 years old. And we got it. This is this batch. And then they move on to next, right? So these are limited releases and all put together. So it's not a single barrel, right? So we have some of those here too, where it's just one barrel, one off. So there's a lot of different ages in this whiskey, where they're like balancing these notes against these notes in an effort to go, is this our batch 75? Yeah. Right, right. It's a very neat thing. I've been to Scotland a couple times now, sort of trying to learn a little bit more. Right.
Again,
right.
It's artwork.
Yeah, it really is. It's a phenomenal thing to get lost in. Right. And the wine world is the same way, right?
Yep.
I mean, that chocolate
changing.
Right, that chocolate's right on the tongue, and then it moves into the fruits, you know, the plum, the blackberry, right? And it is these darker fruits, right?
Yep.
And though it's the high ABV, have we moved past burn and just moved into enjoyment?
Yep.
Yeah. First one had a little burn to it, but now it's...
Right. And the reason, Dennis, that happens is we cap the glasses to trap everything. It breathes a little bit so that you can have the explosion of the first hit. Right. And then as the glass is now opened up, so that's why the Glencairn has the bubble here to catch everything, and then it funnels it right up into that first experience, because you can only have that once.
Is that called the devil's share?
Versus the angel's share, right? Yeah, very good. I love that you know that. That's awesome. Right. Yeah, right. All right. So, Aberlour ABunadh, batch 75, 60.9%. As we know, we have, or as we can see, we have a number of accoutrements between, dried candied ginger, some nuts. We've got a raspberry chocolate, an orange chocolate, a sea salt chocolate, a 70% dark chocolate, an orange chocolate, a smoked Gouda, an apricot, some pineapple, some Vermont cheddar, and some green olives. What do you think is the one?
Dark chocolate.
The dark chocolate. All right, the 70%. All right. What do you think?
I don't know, one of the fruity chocolates.
So we
I
got
think.
an orange
Yeah.
and a raspberry.
Oh, orange, I think.
All right.
Gonna compete with the.
Yeah, I'm going to do the raspberry.
Okay. Yep.
Just because.
Okay.
All right. Let's see who thinks they got it. Well, I'll declare right away, I'm not a loser. And that's a good pairing. What do you think about that orange?
Perfect.
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 Perfect. Let me just give you a little
Just-
topper. Dennis, let me
It's
just give you a
amazing what
little
it
topper.
changes into a little dessert.
Right.
Just-
I've done the orange before, and that's why I went to the raspberry, just because I wanted to see. I know that orange is a home run with these whiskeys, these sherried whiskeys. How was that 70% dark chocolate with this whiskey, Dennis?
It was good, but it needed a little fruit.
Yep. All right. Well, let me just give you this little orange, because that's the home run for these
Yeah.
whiskeys. 100%. The raspberry worked really well.
So I was correct. Are you telling me that I was, for a rookie,
No. Based on all our conversation earlier, I think you picked the right one. Right. So let's just see how the old man, how he thinks about this orange, if that's the one.
He does like to disagree with me, though, so we'll see.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
That was good.
Yeah. Again, right. Sometimes the answer is right in front of you. The notes are so clear, right? The orange really works well, right? Almost as if it were a blood orange, right? It just works so well. All right. The Aberlour ABunadh, batch 75 with Dennis and Matt. Longtime friends, first time on the show. It's so awesome that you're here. Maybe we'll see you again. All right. Well, so the crew, unbeknownst to me or Mal when he's here, we never know what they're going to give us for a toast. They just know to keep it mildly appropriate. So let's see what they got for us today. Gentlemen, to the road that lies ahead.
Cheers.
All right. The Aberlour ABunadh, right? Coming in again as a hero in the Scotch whiskey world. This is generally regarded as the best ongoing sherry release whiskey series, right? Because they've been at it for a long time and nobody questions the quality. Final thought, Matt.
Perfect. It was my machine that helped me pick. Look at that.
All right.
That's what we got.
Yeah.
You know?
Dennis, final thought.
Always great to have a good whiskey with good friends.
Agreed.